What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Shot from the Point Gamer with the one and only Frenchie Ben. Frenchie Ben. Sorry, our live broadcast could not go off the way we planned it, but we're still going to do it. We're going to talk about the Patrick Kane rape kit tampering case with Frenchie Ben, and we're going to upload this so you can all see it, and I am going to look into whatever went all wrong live. We got a big interview with the Zambonis coming up 3 p.m. this Sunday, and you better be sure that I'm going to make sure it goes on time. That being said, what's happening, Frenchie Ben?
Lots of things are happening with Kane, especially.
Especially with Patrick Kane. Let's get right into it now. This article coming from Greg Wyshynski of Puck Daddy. Here's the latest news. The lawyer for the woman accusing Patrick Kane of a sexual assault laid out incredible evidence tampering charges on Wednesday after the rape kit administered to the woman was found on the doorstep of the mother's home, opened and empty. In my 30 years plus of being both a prosecutor and a defense attorney, I have never seen an evidence bag outside the police lab, a prosecutor's office, or courtroom, let alone to find one in the doorway of the rape victim's mother's home, said attorney Thomas Enewu, who called the press conference to ask an independent law enforcement agency to investigate the breach. Okay, I want to make something clear right now. This guy says he was a defense attorney and I guess district attorney or whatever the hell he is. He is not the this district attorney for this particular case. He is currently hired as a civil attorney for the alleged rape victim. I'm going to tell you that because Greg Wyshynski is not. I'll lead into why that's important later. The bag had been unsealed and was empty. Enewu said the bag itself can be evidence and that the broken chain of custody of the bag and its contents is a clear case of tampering with the prosecution of Patrick Kane. Folks, Patrick Kane is officially off the hook, both criminally and civilly, and civil court has a much lower threshold of the burden of proof. This case is over for Patrick Kane, but the shadow of conspiracy will last a lifetime, in my opinion. Let's get into the rest of the article. Something has seriously gone amiss, said Enewu. We all know that the rape kit bag, which had been authenticated and ended up on the doorstep of the rape victim's mother's house. God knows what happened to the evidence. The case is in the hand of the Erie County District Attorney Frank Sieta III, who is currently in charge of the investigation of Patrick Kane. I'll remind you, who is yet to charge Chicago Blackhawks star with a crime. Police have investigated Kane since August 2nd. The incident at his home with an unidentified woman who went to a local hospital afterwards for a rape examination. Kane is currently attending Blackhawks training camp. Kane's attorney addressed the news today via the Chicago Tribune. Patrick Kane attorney Paul Cambrera downplays bag significance, says tests already have shown there was no Kane DNA found below the user's waist. Patrick Kane attorney tells Trib that the client would be the most hurt by the tampered evidence because they can't do their testing if needed. Patrick Kane attorney says that only someone unhappy with the results of DNA testing would tamper with evidence. Obviously, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but there is some sort of conspiracy here. What it is remains to be seen. Enewu blasted media reports concerning DNA evidence about the case, saying those leaks and sensitive information prevents the rape case from being prosecuted. Those leaks that I talked about on Shot from the Point on 3 p.m. Sunday, this past Sunday, were this. The Buffalo News reported that there was none of Patrick Kane's DNA found in the victim's in or around the victim's genital area and or her undergarments. Since then, there have been reports that there was semen found in those particular areas, but they were not DNA of Patrick Kane. I can neither confirm or deny that. But I think it's I think it's safe to say that the initial reports from the Buffalo News that came out this past weekend that there was nothing found are now been confirmed, at least by Paul Cabrera, Patrick Kane's attorney. We can say without a doubt. I said last week that I wasn't willing to get behind it. The Buffalo News apparently was involved in sort of kind of shady situation before. It looks like their information was good, or at least Paul Cabrera is confirming it. This is the worst example of victim bashing I have seen, he said. This is a classic example of why rape victims don't come forward. There have been reports that a settlement could be reached between Kane and the alleged victim, but Ennis said he would very much hope that the criminal case is going forward. That's dishonest. He knows it. Everybody knows it. There is no chance that a criminal case is going forward with Patrick Kane. The chain of custody has been broken. The evidence has been tampered with. It can't be used against him. And it was reported that it wasn't even against him, or the evidence they had didn't actually point to him in the first place. Again, I repeat, Patrick Kane is off the hook, legally, civilly, and criminally. But this will follow him, the NHL too, because the conspiracy theories are going to run wild on both ends. On both ends. Both supporters of Patrick Kane are going to be kooky, and the people that want to say this is a rape culture, an example of victim blaming, and all that other good stuff. This is really unbelievable. I didn't expect it. I will say this. I did expect this. I wrote on Twitter, and I said that one of two things were going to happen. Either they were going to drop this particular case and file a civil suit, and they would definitely blame the system. Well, they did blame the system, but they did it in a way that I could never imagine. Again, Patrick Kane's off the hook. They couldn't prosecute him with this evidence. And supposedly the evidence wasn't necessarily against him in this particular case anyway. This tweet I found interesting from Taze Girl, 1995. Just wondering, why would Kane tamper with evidence if it was proving that he did not rape the girl? Hashtag Patrick Kane, hashtag I support 88, which, by the way, I'm not a big supporter of that hashtag, so to speak. Just to make that clear, that's just in the tweet. I do find that bizarre. We hear it one way, and then all of a sudden this thing ends up on her porch. Certainly, the people that are in control, the police department, the people that are in control of this evidence, if this particular bag happens to be the bag, so far only the civil attorney has confirmed this. I don't know that the police have confirmed this, and certainly not an outside criminal police group. I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for here? An outside police organization has not investigated this. I really do hope the FBI does get involved. And they're going to be on the defense now. But let me make this clear. The burden of proof is going to be on the civil attorney. You can suggest there's conspiracy. And if that is the bag, certainly something happened and a conspiracy happened. But you're going to still have to prove who, what, where, when, how. The odds of that are
Tommy, how they
slim and none. What'd you say?
Some conspiracists will say that Kane's driver is an ex-policeman.
Yes,
and
I've heard this.
used his contact to tamper with the rape kit.
Yes, but again, who, what, where, when, how. You can say that stuff all you want. You can believe whatever you want, but in court of law, whether it be civil or criminal, you've got to prove it. You've got to prove that this is the kit. You have to prove that this has been moved. You have to find out who moved it. You're going to need evidence.
Yeah. The only thing we know it's a mess.
It is an absolute mess. If that is the kit, if that is the kit, somebody moved it. There's a conspiracy.
And that's crazy.
And that is crazy. Who, what, where, when, and how have to be proved. Here's what you can expect with the Patrick Kane case going forward. It's going to become an issue and a civil rights issue and a women's issue between that local police department and her civil attorneys. And you can expect the feminist left to rally around her. You'll be able to see that.
As you said, he asked for the FBI to do an investigation.
Well, here's what's going to happen with the FBI. The FBI are going to roll in there, and which they have every right to do at this point, and they're going to say, prove it. Who, what, where, when, how. And if they don't have more than just a fucking bag, all they have is evidence of a crime. I mean, that thing, look, in this picture, he's handling the fucking bag. This bag should be back at, well, I guess maybe he's afraid to turn it over at this point, in fairness, come to think of it. I would be too. But that thing should be dusted for prints and everything else. Who moved this fucking bag?
And then in the same topic, does it mean that the victim lives with her mother?
I don't know.
Because they don't say that.
Don't say. I don't say.
Because if she doesn't live there, it's even worse.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, to think that the police or somebody that's such a big fucking fan of Patrick Kane would do something like this and subvert our criminal justice system and throw a shadow over this case pretty much forever. Debbie, Texas, remember you wanted to go this way? This will be talked about for years to come. Unless there's some kind of final resolution and somebody gets their, somebody finds out who moves the bag. If the bag's been moved. Keep in mind, the lawyer can say whatever he likes. And he can't be prosecuted. Only when he puts his hand on the Bible does it count. And it'd be going to be interesting what happens when people get their hands on the Bible. And more than likely they will. But the Kane thing's over. There'll probably be pressure on the NHL to leave Patrick Kane on the bench until this is resolved. That's probably illegal. He hasn't been charged with a crime.
Sense. And
he's never going to be charged with a crime. But it won't matter. They'll press for it. It won't matter. They'll press for it. If some way, somehow, they can point this crime directly to Patrick Kane and prove it, it would be one of the most unbelievable sports stories in modern history, right up there with O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
If they find out that somebody tampered with it within the defense, the prosecution, or the civil attorney, it would be a story, but only a couple months. But the odds are this is going to happen. The FBI is going to come down and say, we don't have nothing. Have a nice day. And they'll be able to protest the Hamburg Police Department and how they mishandled evidence pretty much from now until ever. There'll be safeguards put in there. And Patrick Kane won't have anything to do with that. And if I were him, I'd move to Chicago. Sell that house and move to Chicago. So there's there's plenty for the conspiracy theorists to play with. At this point, we don't know anything, and we're not going to know anything.
I know what you mean, but if he moves, you know what people are going to say.
I'd move. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to say what they want, whether he's guilty or innocent. They already have before we got to this point. And I'm sure this lawyer's right. I'm sure he's never seen anything like this. I've never heard of anything like this. I mean, I expected them to come out and say, the police screwed us. That's why we don't have any evidence. And we're dropping the case because we can't go forward. Here you go. Rape culture exists. But it looks like they took the next step. If somebody moved this fucking bag, they need to go to prison for a very long time, because we're talking about a man's being charged with a serious crime.
Oh, you can't.
And we're talking about a potential
with a case like that.
Yeah, it's serious. And not even just the fact that it's Patrick Kane. I'm talking about anybody. And we're all talking about somebody who's potentially raped and how she may never seek justice because of this. Whatever the hell you want to believe, there's definitely some serious shenanigans going on. This is going to go on for years. We're going to be talking about this next summer. And then when it does finally get resolved, it's going to be a situation. It's going to be a magic bullet situation. It's going to be a grassy knoll. I believe that Patrick Kane, I believe that Gary Bettman did this. I've seen it all before. But there's never going to be any evidence. Because I really seriously doubt they're going to figure out who moved that goddamn bag. If the bag was moved. If this is the bag that we're looking at. Supposedly this has been confirmed. Maybe it has. Who moved that bag? Who dumped that evidence. And it doesn't matter that the evidence is out of it. If they find the evidence, it's irrelevant. I mean, this point in the article where he says, I hope we can go forward with the criminal case. Come on, you're a lawyer. He's lying. He's lying. Chain of custody's broken. They're not prosecuting Patrick Kane. It's over.
Yeah, but he still plays his cards.
Patrick Kane doesn't have to do anything. He has to do nothing. He just have to deal with constant questions for the rest of his life, whether he raped this girl or not.
I'm talking about the lawyer.
Oh, the lawyer? Which one? Kane's lawyer?
No, Ianu.
Ianu? Well, Ianu has become. He may become a big celebrity in the coming days to come.
Yeah, things like that go on with those kinds
of
cases.
I tell you what, we did have a case in I think 2006 with the Duke Lacrosse. We did have a prosecutor in that particular situation withhold evidence that would have protected the accused. And he lost everything. His name was Michael Naifang.
I don't know that case.
With this guy put his career and first of all, this guy's a civil attorney. He's not the district attorney. He's not in charge of this case. Would he put himself in like that? And look, in fairness to the lawyer, if the mother said, hey, this is the bag, and hands it to the lawyer, the civil attorney, and the civil attorney goes up and says, this is the bag, and it turns out later, this ain't the bag. The bag is still in custody and never moved. Then that's not his problem. He didn't testify under oath.
Yeah, but if it was the case, the police would tell it. No?
Well, here's the thing. If the police still say they have evidence of the bag, they're going to say this is the bag. And then what's going to happen is they're going to say, no, we had the bag. And then there's going to be an investigation. The FBI is probably going to get involved at that point. Yeah. They're going to find out which bag is the right bag. And there's always the possibility that we never find out what the right bag is. And the nurse says, I signed this and I signed this. And that's all I know.
Yeah, that's why
so who the hell knows?
I made a reference with O.J. Simpson glove.
Yeah, it's supposed. O.J. Simpson's glove, that was more like he couldn't have done it because he couldn't get his hand around it. In the end, I think that was a nice little trick to defend O.J., and it worked because he had a wonderful legal team who I think really understood who the jury was. And that's a different case. But no, this has nothing to do with Kane anymore. This has to do with the police department and the person making the accusation, Thomas Enewu. Did I say that right? Enewu?
Yeah.
Enewu? And that's it, Frenchie Bang. I kind of play video games. What do you think?
Oh, it's enough for today.
Yeah.
For that case.
Did I cover it all, you think?
For now, yes.
I want to play video games. Why don't you tell me what's going on in hockey?
Let's play.
Let's play some games. I want to play some
While you're doing so, we want to pay tribute to Yogi Berra, who dies at 90 years old. And he was a great Devils fan.
Yes, and a New York Yankee extraordinaire, a New York Yankee coach.
Was a catcher, eh?
Yes, he was a catcher. Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame, too. Played with Joe DiMaggio. Played with Mickey Mantle. Definitely one of my dad's heroes.
He was born in 1925 in St. Louis, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And he played for the Yankees for between 46 and 1963. And he played for the Mets in 65.
Oh, I thought he was just a coach for the Mets. I didn't think he actually played for the Mets. That's interesting. 65.
They say here 1 year.
Oh, yeah. So he was coming to the end of his career, probably just to promote the Mets at the time, I imagine.
But he was a manager for the Yankees in 64, and then he played for the Mets in 65 and came back as a manager in 72 with the Mets.
The Mets, and I think he coached the Yankees in the 80s as well, because I remember Don Mattingly did.
84 to 85.
Yep. And he was also a big Devils fan. I always thought because he hated the Devils owner, I think his name was McMullen, had real issues with George Steinbrenner, and Yogi Berra also did. So I also think they had a friendship. But you know what? I want to show this. I'll show this on my Facebook page.
But Tommy, I made a mistake. He wasn't a coach at that time. In '64, he was manager for the Yankees,
He was
and
manager for
then
the Yankees. Okay.
yeah, and he was the manager for the Mets between '72 and '75. Then for the Yankees in '84, '85,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a coach for the Mets, the Yankees, and the Astros.
I want you to look at your screen right there. No, I didn't know you coached for the Astros. That's Yogi Berra in a hockey uniform. I don't know which one. It looks like the New York Americans, but I think they bagged it in the 40s. That's Yogi Berra in 1950 in full hockey gear. I guess he was a big fan. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
St. Louis is a hockey area. I mean, but, you know, of course. But he did go to Devils game. I'd heard, I think Jake may have even seen him at a Devils game or two. I'm getting killed over here, by the way. Jake may have even seen him at a Devils game or two. But, yes, we give tribute to the great Yogi Berra being a great Yankee. And everybody knows I'm a Yankee fan. I'm from New Jersey. And being a great hockey fan and supporting the New Jersey Devils. And I seem to remember Yogi being used to kind of promote the Devils in their early years, by the way. Being such a big New York sports figure,
He's a legend.
He's a legend, and it's real sad. Who was your it's like when Rocket Richard died when you were a kid, and you and your dad were real sad,
Yeah,
right?
or Gene Billiveau.
Yeah, that was just this year, though. Well, this past year.
Yeah.
Was your dad real sad when the Rocket died? Did he talk about it a lot?
We surely spoke about it.
Yeah.
From time to time, I go on YouTube and I check the greatest ovation that he got in the Bell Center.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember in what year, but it's one of the great ovations that went on that
In the
on that rink.
in the forum, the original forum too, not the new one.
No, it was the new one.
It was the new forum.
It was called the Bell Center at the time.
The Bell Center. Okay, so that was the new one. They did a good job making the Bell Center look like the old forum, though. They kind of did it. I remember seeing that at least from the locker rooms and stuff, it still looked like the old forum.
Maybe because inside the building, it's not the
It's
same.
not the same. Yeah.
No, it was cool to go at the forum at the time.
Yeah. Do you like? But have Canadians fan really kind of like Yankees fans had, because there's so much similarities between the two franchises.
Yeah.
Has Yankee fans, I think, have really embraced the new stadium, and it was hard to leave because it was the house that Ruth built. Have Canadians fan embraced the Bell Center in the same way, you think, since they changed it?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
At first, people were sad, but now it's okay. Everybody likes it.
I had this really great DVD-ROM, or it's CD-ROM at the time, that when just before Toronto and Montreal got new stadiums, it allowed you to go into the locker room, and it kind of had this sort of at the time new 3D technology, which would be considered kind of passé today. That you could kind of walk around the locker room and see all the Montreal Canadiens, because they put those really cool sort of pictures of them above the locker room and stuff. I don't know what just it was really awesome, and just there's such an intense history there. I know I make fun of the Canadians a lot, but I do respect their history.
It's
that.
still like that.
I really have a love-hate relationship with the team. First of all, in you guys, when we had Phil Esposito, okay, and that really should have been our
As
year.
a player, you mean?
We had when we had Phil, when my new team, New York Rangers, had the Phil Esposito, okay, we were supposed to win the Stanley Cup, and we had this incredible run with the current general manager of the Columbus Blue Jackets. His name was John Davidson. He was never a Hall of Famer, but he just hit it. He got in that spot. You know what I'm saying? He's was there.
He's a good hockey man.
Yeah, he's a good hockey man. He was an announcer for the Rangers for a long time. And he just got hot, and they ran to the playoffs, and they ran into the Canadians. And that was the end of that. And,
Which year do you remember?
1980. 1980. So, to me, not really remembering it too much as a child, but having relived it through a book that I got in the library, and always being a big Phil Esposito fan, I just hated thinking that the Rangers... And when I was a kid, the Rangers hadn't won a Stanley Cup. So when I was a big Ranger fan, it seemed like, this would never happen, and just like, God, we got screwed again, That was our year.
Montreal was still a good team in
They were
1980.
they swept New York in 4 games. You know, it was look.
Then
Yeah,
they
New York had a
went
good
south.
run. New York had a good run, but it just was over. Playoff system was different then too. So,
There were 3 out of 5 games.
Oh, not the
Series?
Stanley Cup. I think they're one in the first round, maybe. But like
Yeah.
the fact that Montreal could end up in the Stanley Cup, I don't really know how they did the. I'm totally not sure how they did the tournament, so to speak, end of it. I don't know how that worked. I don't know how the conference system worked as far as setting up the playoffs. It's changed so much, even since I was a kid, and it was able to remember it. But yeah, that was it. And Guy Lafleur was on the team, and Guy Lafleur played for my team too when he was kind of came out of retirement and there wasn't much left, you know.
Oh, with Marcel Dion.
Marcel Dion played, yeah, but he was punch and rag. I'd love Marcel
At the same
Dion.
time, Michel Bergeron was the coach.
I hope your French, the listeners that might happen to it, I hope they realize how much I love Marcel Dion and how underrated he is. I really think he was top 5 all time. You know, it's just he played with that horrible organization for so long. But Marcel Dion, you know, you start like, you know, I know a lot of people look at the list and, oh, wow, did that last one count? I know a lot of people.
He has such a great personality. The guy is a nice guy. He's funny.
They went with Lafleur over him, though, and he stayed in L.A., and I'll never understand why. You know?
The two of them were awesome.
Like to say happy birthday to Mike Richter, my favorite goalie of all time. No offense to the king, Henrik Lundqvist. What's that?
He was a great goalie.
I love Mike Richter. If he didn't play, like Jersey Jason Lech said that if he hadn't played with so many trash teams, and he played on a lot of trash teams in New York, he would be in the Hall of Fame. And I generally think he's correct.
Was he supposed to be in the Lindros trade?
Yes, he was, as well as Alexei Kovalov. And if you really think about the Lindros trade and look who was involved in it,
But I checked the other day. Do you really want to know the trade?
Yes, I know it was Kovalov was in it. I know Richter was in it, but I don't know who else.
Because I'm not sure. Maybe it was Van Beesbrook.
I don't think it was Van Beesbrook because at the time, I don't know if Richter
the real
was for sure
trade
started.
with the Flyers was Lindros against Mike Ritchie,
Mm-hmm.
a first choice who became Forsberg. That's crazy.
Yeah, go figure.
Then a first choice that became Jocelyn Thibault, the goalie. Steve Duchesne, Huffman. What was his name? Kerry Huffman?
Yeah, Huffman. I guess
the defenseman.
I don't remember him, so no Hall of Fame there. You know.
They received Ron Extall and $15 million. And the trade that was supposed to be with the Rangers was Kovalov, Doug Waite, Tony Amonte.
Oh, Jesus. The whole youth of the team, you know?
And 3 first-round choice that would have became Nicholas Sundstrom, Dan Cloutier, Jean-Sébastien Giguère, and the goalie Van Beesbrook, plus $12 million.
You know what that also means? No cup in 94 if that trade happens.
No, it would have been crazy for you.
No cup in 94 to bring that kid in. That would have been unbelievable. And he was not.
Doug Waite was a great passer, and Amonte was at his prime.
Yeah, Amonte. What happened with Amonte is Mike Keenan kind of lost faith in him. He didn't think he was really a part of the system. He wasn't playing a lot towards the end of '94, and of course he ended up in Chicago for a while. But you look at that trade. No Stanley Cup for the Rangers. And if you also want to point out, because I'm not a very big Eric Lindros fan. If that trade goes, if everybody that was involved with that trade, the Nordiques sort of, the Colorado Avalanche, and the New York Rangers all went on to win Stanley Cups except Eric Lindros and any team he was ever involved with.
That's right.
Just want to make that trade was the worst. Lindros, as talented as he was, as a phenom as he was not a leader in the locker room. There was too much responsibility put on him too early in his career, very much like Sidney Crosby. A lot of calls used to go his way. He was a little bit of a baby. By today's standards, he's the toughest guy in the league. And he used to get in trouble in Philadelphia, or New Jersey, and start pouring beers on girls' heads. And of course, there's that rumor, it's probably true, that he slept with Rod Brindamore's wife. And Rick Tocchet beat the shit out of him.
And he got his ass kicked by the figure skater, the Canadian figure skater, Elvis Stoico.
Really? Tell me this
Yeah.
story. I don't know if I know this.
And Stoico, yeah, I think it's a bar story.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Stoico, he was a martial artist, so.
Oh, real? Oh, that's the yeah.
He probably kicked Lindros' ass.
Eric Lindros is a big dumb brute. I have a personal Lindros story. I wasn't and I don't recommend doing this, kids. All right, this is not a good thing to do.
That starts well.
All right, but I was a little.
Kids.
Look. I don't like fans getting involved with this stuff. I never insult players to their face, and really, and I don't really insult them on the air there unless they do something fucking really goofy, or criminal, or stupid. I do think sometimes these players take more shit than they deserve, and sometimes they take just the right amount, and sometimes they take not enough. But I noticed that Eric was kind of losing his hair in the early part of the 1995 season, which started in January, so it was like a preseason game because there was like a strike that year. Let's see what my memory is. So around January, I'm in New Jersey for an Islanders Devils preseason game, right? Or excuse me, a Philadelphia New Jersey preseason game, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I saw Eric Lindros. He did not play the whole game, and I saw him, and I thought it'd be really funny because I could see that his hair was sort of thinning at the top, and I just yelled, not thinking, I go, "Grow hair!" And that 6'5" son of a bitch heard me and turned around and scared the shit out of me just by looking at me. I mean, I was 120 pounds soaking fucking wet at 17. Or I was 18. I was 18 at the time. In my senior year in high school. And he just looked. My friend said, "Was he looking at you?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I acted like I fucking was too cool for words. But I was fucking terrified for a couple reasons.
Were you close to him?
What's that? He thought about saying something, but then he just turned around. But as soon as he turned around, I was embarrassed about what I said. He said,
"Were
"Crow
you
hair."
close to him?
Far enough where you would have had to climb. Yes, like you know the visitors part of the rink, where you'd have to go through the side. I know they both go through the benches now, but in those days in the Brendan Byrne Arena, you went to the side of the rink. It was like to the left of the net. Yeah. It was like the left of the net. So I was like on the guardrail of the net. He probably couldn't have got to me, but he could have done a Mike Milbury and got to me. You know what I mean? It would have been an effort, but it wouldn't have been.
You have to tie your shoes when you go to hockey.
Exactly. It would have been a situation like that. Like he would have climbed. He could have got me, but it would have took some effort. You know what I mean? And I would have froze. And I was in. I'm not proud of that story.
The perfect player.
Yeah.
Lindros.
Yeah, he was in a lot of ways, the body-wise he was, but he didn't have the perfect head for the game. And he shut down 1996 World Cup, did not do much for Canada. Really, he didn't do anything for Team Canada at all. When he was in the Stanley Cup final, he shut down. Any big spot you needed Eric Lindros to show up in, as far as playoffs are concerned, it just didn't quite happen. Eric was really talented, but I don't think he had a good head for the game, and I think he kind of was told his whole life that things would come to him. And a good sign of that was like, I don't want to play in Quebec because everybody's French. That is the most ignorant shit I fucking ever heard. I would, look, if I was a hockey...
that's not exactly what happened.
That's what they said, though, that he didn't want to learn the language. That's what they said. That probably wasn't true.
Yeah, but at the time, there was rumblings about separation from Quebec wanted to separate from Canada.
That's true.
Politically, there was some sort of craziness going on. Mm-hmm. And he was advised by his parents. Mm-hmm. And one of the things is because he was a big name in hockey. Because,
sure.
And by being in Quebec, he expected to make less money in commercials and things of that nature. In New York, he would have made tons of money.
Yeah, and even Philadelphia. It's a pretty big hockey town, Philly.
Yeah.
Philly loves their Flyers.
That's part of the story.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like that.
And I
and the
never
economy,
trusted
and
Marcelo
there's
B.
another thing you're leaving out because you make good points, but the economy was very different at the time. I mean, teams were leaving Canada, you know.
Yeah.
But I always felt awful that if Eric would have went, maybe that could have turned around. You know, it might have took a couple more years, and they could have saved that franchise. And now we don't have two French teams, and I think that's crap because I think French Canadians are a big part of hockey culture. You know, historically, and I think they should be represented by at least two teams. I do. It's a personal opinion. Frenchmen are a part of the game. They're a big part of the game. Some of the biggest stars early on in the game were French Canadians, and I like that. I like the diversity. I like the fact there's Anglos and there's French players, and I think it's cool. I dig it.
But can you believe what it would have been with Lindros, Joe Sakic, Matt Sundin,
Yeah.
Owen Nolan?
A Stanley
would
Cup.
have been crazy.
A Stanley Cup every year. I mean, the fucking Avalanche were practically a mini dynasty as it was. The only guy they probably wouldn't have had was Patrick Waugh, you know, which was a big part of their Stanley Cup victories in Colorado, I might add, you know. But I don't know. I just think that was arrogant. I don't want to learn to speak French. I know that was probably bullshit. But it's just like, why don't you want to go make them great? You know, why don't you start a new... We always had a cool uniform. Why don't you start a new revolution? Why don't you save this franchise to keep him from having to move? No, Eric was looking out for himself. And I think in the end, that's kept a cup out of his hands because there's no doubt he was a gifted hockey player.
Because if he had played in Quebec, he could have become a greater legend.
I think so.
Yeah.
The guy he could have been Mario Lemieux, the guy who saved the franchise.
Yeah.
You know, but he didn't, and he didn't get anything out of it.
But even the owner of the Nordiques at the time, Marcelo B.
Yeah.
I don't like the guy. The guy he thinks for him first.
Yeah.
And
well,
even when he sold the team, he could have kept it.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was a damn shame. Well, I'm glad we had I like when we talk hockey history. We do that a lot more here than I do on the other channels or the other shows. I kind of like the hockey history thing. What else you got in the bag?
Oh, I have some things. You were talking about the Islanders. So today they named George McPhee as a special GM advisor to Garth Snow.
Oh, jeez. Well, congratulations, George McPhee, and your big
NHL
NHL job.
Good mix.
Absolutely. George McPhee, wow.
I like Garth Snow, and McPhee is a brilliant hockey mind.
I think the Islanders are a budding dynasty. I really do. I think Jonathan Tavares is going to just about to enter Patrick Kane, a Taze type situation. I think he's that good.
I think 2 days ago they signed the defenseman, the right defenseman, Marek Zidlicki.
Mm-hmm. Matt Zidlicki, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see him get into it in preseason with what's his face? One of the guys in the Rangers. I think Tanner Glass. Zidlicki got a situation going with Tanner Glass. Zidlicki gave him a shot, and then Glass beat the fucking ever-loving hell out of him.
Zidlicki is a good puck mover. He's a power play guy.
He never quite lived up to his potential, but he's not. He doesn't. I don't think he can hurt you. You know, Zidlicki. I think that's going to be good for. The Devils got him, right? Yeah, the Devils. I think he's going to be good for the Devils.
No. Zidlicki is with the Islanders now.
Wait a minute. Who am I thinking of? Who got in a fight?
No,
I was thinking of Yuri Talutsi.
Excuse me. Was, with the Devils
I was thinking of Yuri Talutsi. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
I just got that confused because I just like watching Devils get beat up by my Rangers in fist fights.
At the end of the last year, Zidlicki was traded to Detroit.
Yeah.
And I think he did well. Yeah.
Zidlicki? Well, remains to be seen. I don't particularly have an opinion on Zidlicki. But I was thinking about Yuri Talutsi the whole time, so I'm a little embarrassed.
Lots of Czech players goes with the Devils.
Yeah, they do seem to have a kind of a... Even Jaromir Jagr played there, you know.
Yeah. Now there is Elias and Talutsi.
Yeah, Elias he's a Devils legend, you know. Old.
I wish
Elias.
he finished there.
Who?
Elias.
You like Patrick Elias?
Oh, he's a Devils player. I think he played there all his career.
Yes, he did. He also was probably
it's
one
rare,
of the
these days.
one of them. At some points in his career, I think he was one of the top 5 forwards in the game. at some points. You know,
Yeah.
plays the team the whole time. He also is considered to be the ugliest player in the game that I keep hearing. But I don't know about that. Patrick.
I don't care about that.
I don't care about that either. But he's a strange-looking man. There's no doubt about it. You want to hear what my wife calls him?
What?
You know what my wife calls Patrick Eliash? And I don't recommend this. You shouldn't say this about people. She calls him Patrick Smellyash. That's terrible. It's not that funny, but I just think it's cute that my wife says it. I don't know why she has such a... I like Patrick. You know, I don't know why my wife hates him so much.
Speaking of Germans, Dennis Seidenberg had a surgery today because he has a back problem with a disc. So Dennis he's going to be out for 8 weeks.
That's not too bad. Old Dennis getting old, huh?
Yeah, I don't know his age exactly.
He's bad. I think he's only 2 or 3 years younger than me. Yeah. I think he's like 36.
Maybe a bit more.
36, I think he is.
Around that, yes.
Yeah. 36.
I'm going to check for you.
Yeah,
what game are you playing right now?
I'm playing NHL 2-on-2 Open Ice in the arcade. Full games. Enjoying it. It's one of my favorite games. I actually do play this game, not just playing a show. I enjoy it. Got lots of my... Radek Bonk, Brian Leach, Alexander Daig. Big fucking draft bust he was. All in this game. Mike Richter in goal. There his picture is right there. I love this game.
Dennis
I'll set it up.
Seidenberg is 34 years old.
Who?
Dennis Seidenberg.
34, so I knew he was an older player. Dennis
that's not right. He's 35.
35. That's what I thought. He's 34, 35. He's a good tough German. He's a good man. He's an underrated guy. He's a big supporter and a big part of Boston Stanley Cups, in my opinion. Stanley Cup, I should say, right?
Another guy who is injured, it's Chris Higgins from the Canucks. He fractured a foot.
Best of luck to him.
Yeah, at one time in Montreal, they were talking about him as a captain.
Now he's got a broken foot. He's all by himself.
Another guy who is injured, it's TJ Brody from the Flames. He had a hand fracture.
TJ Brody, did he get hurt in preseason so far? I didn't hear anything about an injury. Ninja catching up with him.
He fractured his right hand.
How long is he out for?
They don't say.
Right hand?
Yep.
2-3 weeks.
And he's one of the good defensemen there.
Yeah. Depending on the severity of the fracture, 2-3 weeks. That's my call. And I'm a doctor. I don't know if you know that, Frenchie man.
I now know.
I'm a doctor of hockey injuries. Boy. 24 wins to look up. Well, that's not happening today. Anything else?
Yeah, something that I'm not quite sure about. Eric Johnson, the defenseman for the Colorado Avalanche, signed a 7-year extension for $6 million a year. I think it's expensive.
Yeah, especially since they're gonna hate that kind. The Lynch aren't doing anything. But I don't know. I don't see enough of the Western team games, so I know he's a good defenseman, but I don't know how good he is. I think I'm starting to think the 2014 season for the Lynch were a bit of a fluke, especially. Hey, you never believe who I just saw in this video game, Roman Hamrlik. There you go. There's a name for you.
He was good in Montreal.
Yeah, only in Montreal, though. He wasn't good for the Rangers 2 years ago.
Oh, no, I think with the Flames, the best season of Dion Phaneuf was with him.
With him? Yeah, the Hammer.
Yeah.
Good point. Young Roman Hamrlik in this one.
In Montreal for a while, he was the glue that held all the defense.
Yes, I did know that.
It was the years that Markov had problems with his knees, and every time Hamrlik was there to patch the hole.
Roman Hamrlik also finished his career with the New York Rangers, famously giving up a goal in the Stanley Cup Final.
I respect the guy because he was one of the few who signed with Montreal at the time. Few players were coming. A few UFAs came to Montreal at the time.
Not the Stanley Cup Final. When they got eliminated in... who beat them?
The Rangers you talk about?
When Boston beat them. When Boston beat them 2 years ago in the playoffs. That's right. Yeah. When Boston beat them.
Phil Kessel. He scored 2 goals against Carolina yesterday in a 7-3 win by Pittsburgh.
Say what you want about Fatty. That's going to be scary all year.
I think so, yes.
And it's going to be scary stuff. Here's another thing about Fatty. He's got chubby cheeks because of the cancer stuff. Let's be a little fair to the guy. You know what I mean?
It's possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're the doctor.
Yes, I'm the doctor. I saw him at the draft last year, the All-Star draft, and he actually didn't look like he's in bad shape. I think that a lot of that appearance has to do with being a cancer survivor. But what doesn't change that is I think Phil thinks he walks on water a little bit, and I think he's not. I think Phil Kessel is not as bad as reported, but still a problem. You know what I mean? You think that's fair?
Yes, but in Pittsburgh, he's not the main guy. There's less reporters, so the pressure is not on him. And I think he's gonna be relieved.
It's definitely going to be on Crosby and now Evgeny, as like they normally is.
Oh,
but that offense is going to be frightening and difficult to contain. Extremely. You're going to have to be on your game. Here's a name for you.
That Chris Letang is healthy this year.
Chris Letang, yeah. Well, that's probably their whole season, whether that man is healthy. No strokes, no dirty hits. Hang in there. I love Chris Letang. Is he a Frenchman, or does he have a French name?
Oh, he is a Frenchman.
He's a Frenchman.
As I told you, my best friend, he lives 2 houses from him.
Mm-hmm. Good man?
He spoke to him this summer. Mm-hmm. But my friend, he doesn't watch hockey, so he doesn't care.
He didn't care whether he's meeting Chris Letang. I'd love to meet Chris Letang.
Because the other next door neighbor of him is the guy who does the lighting for Celine Dion in Las Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have money. It's a neighborhood where the house's price is 1 million, 2 million.
Oh, jeez. Celine Dion. You know, I just watched her on YouTube the other day. She did a hologram performance with Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
That was cute.
Yeah. It was in AGT or America's Got Talent or...
Yeah, that was something like that. I don't watch that stuff. I just caught it on YouTube. And
but that was good because of the hologram.
I kind of like Elvis. You know what I mean? So I just watched it, and I wouldn't be caught. I'll be honest, I wouldn't be caught dead owning a Celine Dion record, but she was really, really nice to my mom, and I'll never forget that. So I'm not gonna say anything other than nice things about Celine Dion. Because,
I'm not a fan. The
just
songs
like her.
that I prefer about her, they are duos, and her French songs are better than the English one.
I think she's a good singer. It's just not my bag. And the thing she did with Elvis is really cool, and she sings effortlessly. You know, I mean, she has a lot of soul.
She's a powerful.
Yeah,
singer.
she's got a powerful voice. I mean, the whole hologram thing was like a breeze for her, and you could tell. But it's just not my style of music. But she's talented, and like I said, you treat my family good. I'm never gonna say a bad thing about. I'm never gonna say a bad thing about Celine Dion.
I'm sure she's a good person.
I can attest for it personally. Absolutely, told that story before. Don't need to tell it again.
It's okay.
Yeah, but it's a wonderful human being, Celine Dion. Just if she happens to be listening.
Hi, Celine.
Yeah. Is there anything else on there? Because I think we've been done doing this an hour. I think we got to get this uploaded, get it to the people.
I have one last thing about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
There is 5 different rumblings about them. Mm-hmm. They talk about Dion Phaneuf could be traded still during the season. They just want to make him play and upgrade his value.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Another guy who could be traded is Nazem Kadri. He's supposed to be available.
I could see that. It didn't work out over there for Nazem. Even with Don Cherry's blessing, Nazem Kadri didn't work out.
They should give him a chance. He's still young.
I think he might be part of the problem over there. I've been thinking that for a while. I like Nazem too. Well, I like Nazem because Don Cherry told me to. But
have you seen PK's impersonation of
yes.
Don Cherry?
You want to play it?
Oh, why not?
Yeah, why not? Let's see if I can get that up there. Let's say because we
It's
love
19 seconds.
I'm such a fucking Canadian's kiss ass when I'm with you. Ooh, what's with me? There's a metaphor, Messiah. Why am I such a Canadian's kiss ass?
I don't bash the Rangers.
Yeah, it's true. I'm supposed to hate them, though. You know?
I hate the Rangers because you always...
We've been handling
you
you.
can't pass through the Rangers in their playoffs.
We've been handling you in recent years, but
Yeah.
Historically, that has not been the case. Let me see if I can get
but
that.
I'm 39, so I haven't seen...
Yeah. I'll be 39 at the end of the week, buddy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. PK, Subban.
Okay, I'm older than you.
Yeah?
Okay.
Let's see. Can I even play this?
I'm old, Tommy.
No, you're only a fucking month older than me. Don Cherry.
I'm born in June.
Ugh, can't do it. Sportsnet Canada. Not happening.
Okay. No, it's
yeah,
okay.
because it's just simply...
Something else with the Maple Leafs, they say that Bozak could be traded this year. Mm-hmm. So they expect maybe a second rounder and a fourth rounder for it.
Mm.
And the biggest rumbling is about Steven Stamkos.
Yeah.
They even talk about a possibility that he could be traded this year in Toronto.
Stamkos. Well, you know what? Gotta hand our hats off to the Finnish Newsflash, huh? He called that shit, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Kids,
Mr. Pustinen.
It's a good team. Pustinen. Pure Pustinen. I got it. I did it.
Yeah.
I fucking did it, Frenchie Ben.
You did it.
I did it. Fucking. Well, it's been real good having you, sir. By the way, on the show.
You need a Frenchman to get through pronunciation.
Yes, I always love doing it. I like this new format where I just kind of play and there's not so much emphasis on the video game, where I get to play video games and talk hockey with my buddy. I think that's what we're going to do. And we're going to talk about hockey history. I kind of like when that stuff comes up, you know?
Thank
and if
you, Dr. Tommy C.
Yes, well, you're welcome. And by the way, I'm giving you a clean bill of health. How's that grab you?
I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. Before we go, let's do an ad. 3 p.m. Sunday. Shot from the Point Live featuring Dave Zamboni of the Zambonis. We introduce the biggest, most famous hockey band. We're going to interview them of all time. That's Dave Zamboni coming out of Hartford. We're going to bust his balls about the Hartford Whalers. Talk to him, interview, and play his music. Please check it out, 3 p.m. Sunday. Shot from the Point Live. Oh, man. Sounds good. That was a pretty good promo, wasn't it not, Frenchie Ben?
The best promo you ever did.
Ever. All right, everybody. See you next Sunday. See ya. Take care. I'm Tommy C, Frenchie Ben, and we're out.